Hi, folks. Larry Rolla here. Before I screw up, I'm going to bring on my friends, Joe, Eddie,
Hey, Larry.
and Anthony.
Hey, hello. Good evening, everybody.
I did it. I didn't screw up.
You're getting good at Larry.
I'm getting good. I'm getting good at this stuff.
You're getting good.
You're like Cecil B. DeMille.
Yeah. You know, they may come a time. I hope you win a lot of races because if I made a decision that I'm supposed to meet with something good might happen with with Fox Studios. They're buying up a lot of movies, a lot of TV series, and then they rent them out or lease them out, whatever they do, to all the streaming networks. And I'm seriously thinking, because once you give it to them, even though you make they give you a lot of money, they take over the whole project, and they have their own writers, rewriters, and the writers that they have. See, I had Pileggi and Richard Price, and these guys, they've been around a long time. Most of these studios now, they have young guys. Half of them never been to a racetrack. So I don't know how much, and then once you take the money, it's in their hands. And if I'm going to tell the story, and 90% of it wasn't even in the book. If I'm going to tell the story, maybe I should just, based on whatever deal they want to make with me, maybe I should just try to raise the money myself, because I have a good friend of mine that makes movies, and he says we could probably do a real good movie for maybe 3, 4, 5 million. And maybe I'll just try to do that. And this way I control everything. I control the actors. I already have the script. And maybe from there, from that movie, I could always maybe make a deal with them to do a TV series. So, Eddie, in the event that happens, just keep winning races and save the money, because you're going to be the first guy I call.
Oh, I appreciate it.
No, it'll be the first day I call. Remember
the money? Yeah. Well, let me go to the drawer, and I'll take out a few.
Yeah.
Remember when you was a kid, you go to communion, and they give you a little envelope, and you got to put the money in. Okay. Well, you might get
it never made it to the poor box, right?
He used to take the money out, Eddie. When they passed it around, he used to
never made it to the poor box.
All right. The first thing I want to say, I have 3 million. I uploaded a lot of stuff. This way we can talk. I can hit any picture and say, okay, you want to talk about this. But the first thing I want to mention is that this Sunday, I went to a benefit for this guy here, Bobby
Czyz.
Yeah, he was a 3-time world champion, real good guy. He was on my podcast. Here's the picture of him on my podcast. and about, I don't know, a few months back, he found a little nodule or something in his nose, and he went to the doctor, and they chopped him up pretty good. It was all
melanoma.
Yeah, it was all cancer, and he had no insurance, no nothing, and they really chopped him up. I put his picture up when he first got out of the hospital. But anyway, this Sunday they had a benefit for him, and all the heavyweight boxers were there, from Larry Holmes all the way down. Spinks, Larry Holmes, they were all there. Middleweights, heavyweights, everybody was there. It was packed, and it was a real good day. And this is the picture of me and him. He looks a whole lot better in this picture because they sliced him from the middle of his head right down to his lower jaw, and they scraped all the cancer out. And we've been talking back and forth about the ivermectin and all of that stuff. So I don't know which way he's going to go, but anyway, it was a good day. He raised a lot of money, and he's going to have a couple of more benefits. They're going to do a hold'em tournament for him, and because these operations that he's going through cost a lot of money. And but anyway, I just wanted to mention that it was a good day, and I wish him well. He's got a good attitude, I'll tell you that. The other thing I wanted to mention is I want to mention my friend Alfred and his book. Now, this book, a bunch of you ordered it, called him up, and I'm gonna tell you his phone number again in case you want to order it. Again, he got everybody that ordered it called me up and told me it was a great book, and they're glad they ordered it. And just Alfred's number is 973-953-1247. So just call up Alfred, tell him you want a book, and he'll make arrangements. You can mail him the check. He'll tell you where to send it. He'll send out the book, and you'll really enjoy it. Again, the number is 973-953-1247. Now, also, I found the clip that he was in. One of the best. I'm sure all you guys saw the Casino, right?
Yeah.
And here's one. Every movie that he's in, he's Pesci's stand-in and Pesci's double, and they grew up together since they were kids. And Pesci always gives him a part in all the movies that he did. And here's a part that I was able to confiscate from
The Irishman?
from Casino.
Oh, Casino. He was in The Irishman too, right?
Yeah, he's in all of them things. But this,
Yeah.
I like this one because, especially me and you, Joe, we could kind of relate to this. So watch this.
I left it with the money. Got muscled on the street. A couple of guys I owed them. So that's what I did. I gave them the money. That's what I did.
Yeah? You call yourself a man? You know you're a lying, low-life, motherfucking gambling, degenerate prick. You know that's what you are? 2 small kids at home. I gave you money to pay the fucking rent and buy groceries, put the heat on. You know your wife called Frank and told her the fucking heat's off? Eh? And you didn't gamble that fucking money. You gonna stand here and tell me that? No, you didn't? Don't fuck with me, Al. Don't make a fuck out of me. You want to embarrass me, make a fool out of me? You didn't gamble? Tell me you gambled the fucking money. I'll give you the fucking money to put the fucking heat on. Did you gamble? Huh? Fucking degenerate, you. Fucking kids at home. Here, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, thanks. Let me find out you fucked up. I'll leave you wherever I find you.
You remember that part?
I never heard anything
Yeah,
like
I
that in my
remember.
whole life.
Yeah, that's Alfred. So let's see. What else I want to talk about? Also, Alfred and Sharma and his wife come out with another a duet, like a duets type thing. I had it up there. Anyway, it's an album that they come up with, a CD.
Put it on later instead of live.
Yeah, I don't. They didn't finish it yet. They couldn't finish it. I think Alfred said one of the guys, the bass player or something, got sick or so. I don't know. I forgot. All right. What else did I have to say? I had to say a couple of things. Okay, so let's get back to the star of the show. This week we're gonna make our friend Edward the star of the show. Now, he called me up. I haven't bet on a horse now since 40 years. I don't even know the last time I bet on a horse. Anyway, Eddie called me up and he told me, he says, listen, I have a horse in the 3rd race tomorrow night. He'll win. Then I now say I didn't bet it and he win. And then he called me up again today. He says, I got a horse in tomorrow in the 6th race and he'll win. So naturally I didn't bet. And I'm going to show you both races because I was able to capture them. So here goes. And Eddie, which is the horse that you claimed from Mott?
The
The one
Concord Spirit, the one in the
race.
third race.
All right, here's the horse that he claimed for Concord. He
From
claimed
Mott? You claimed
Billy
him?
Mott, yeah. And this was tell us that story. You claimed him for Billy Mott for how much, and what'd you find?
I claimed the horse of Billy Mott for 30,000, and when he raced, when I took him to the spit box, he won that race. Matter of fact, and when I took him to the spit box, I noticed that one of his testicles was up in his, up in his stomach. So I thought he was a ridgeling. And when I asked the groom, I says, "Is this horse a ridgeling?" He says, "No, he's a colt." So I says, "Wow, I don't see the other testicle, So when we took him back to the barn in a couple of days, we walked him, and I noticed his left front kept crossing over his right. His left rear was crossing over his right rear, and he was like walking sideways. And so I called the vet, and we found out that he had a twisted testicle. So we gelded him. And from there, he has progressed to be a nice horse. So that's the story there. When I got him the first race, he didn't run too well, and then he started to progress. And I've won 2 out of, I think he's 5 out of 6 in the money since I got him. Since I claimed him.
All right, well, here's the race you told me to bet on him. Here's the race.
And they're off. Concord Spirit flashes early speed from the far outside. Also in the early mix, here comes Light the Way and JD Factor right there too. But the speedy Muzara at the rail now moves on through, is a half length in front. It's Muzara at the rail, is now up by 3/4 of a length with Light the Way. Jose Liscano in full pursuit. Just tapping on the brakes is JD Factor. A lot of horse, Manny Franco down on the inside. Just waiting for room now is a tracking third. Concord Spirit in the pink silks, center of the racetrack, is starting to move forward here as they have 4 furlongs left to go. They're followed by Vinsanity, is trying to get out, is held back in here by Lane Lezzy. The 2 at the back, Aberdeen is there with Ragazzo Diabolico, 22 and 3. For that opening quarter mile, Muzara is in front. It's Muzara who's got the lead, is still up by 3/4 of a length. Here comes the run from Light the Way from second. Concord Spirit is 3 wide. Still waiting for room. JD Factor continuing to look very strong here as they reach the top of the stretch, but nowhere to go. Muzara now kicks for home. It's Muzara who's in front. Concord Spirit down the center of the racetrack. Light the Way in between horses. Here comes the run from JD Factor, who's in the center of the racetrack. A furlong left to go. JD Factor now in full pursuit. Concord Spirit does a nose in front. JD Factor catching with every stride. Concord Spirit battles on. JD Factor trying to get there. Concord Spirit game and gets the win. JD Factor second, then came Light the Way. Rallying on was Vinsanity to finish fourth in 1 minute 18.48 seconds.
Nice race.
He's gonna go up.
Very nice.
They have their speed ratings or their buyer numbers. When I claimed him, he had a 69, and that race day got a 91. Well, so he has progressed immensely.
Let me ask you, you mentioned to me that the week before that he was running in real bad or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I noticed he was running in again here, but not as bad. And had that, just listen to me, Eddie, had that horse, the rail horse not backed up a little bit where the horse you were alongside of could have moved in, you would have been very much like that horse that real good horse that had the same problem. You remember his name? That real good thoroughbred horse.
Starts with an S or something.
Sunday Silence.
No.
He was in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, and he kept running in. He kept getting all the time, going off the favorite, the same thing. And then they changed the bit because you mentioned you changed the bit too. And
Yeah. I went from a snaffle bit to a ring bit to a cage bit or a Houghton bit.
And obviously nothing made a difference, right? Now
No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a full cup on them on the inside next start. You know,
they let you change equipment in thoroughbreds after a win. And and
well, every time you enter a horse, they say any changes.
Yeah, I know, but if I win with a standardbred, and then the next week he's in the same class, and I change equipment and he gets beat, I get in a lot of trouble. But they let you change equipment with no problem after a win.
No, they don't. I mean, I really haven't crossed that path. Maybe I haven't never heard that rule, so I don't know.
What are you going to put on a full cup? You like a Murphy blind that we would put on the trotters. You're going to put something like an.
Well, right now he's got cheetahs on, which are small, like 3/4 inch cup, but a full cup is like about 2-3 inches. You know.
So now he has like a quarter cup. You're going to put a half cup on him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone had that.
That Chad Brown's horse. Yeah,
had that problem. Went off the favorite all the time. Just kept running in. And my advice to him and I said it right on the podcast here.
Let him run in.
And he kept running in, getting beat. Just had his head side twisted, just like your horse, only a whole lot worse. And then he put that bit on, and I
side winning bit.
That bit, I forgot the name of it. The bit, the straight leather bit with the bar underneath. I forgot the name of the bit. A Houghton. No, I forgot the name.
Yeah, that's the Houghton bit or a cage bit.
Sidelining bit with the leather over it.
Yeah. So anyway, I told him that wasn't going to work, and the reason why sidelining bits work on standardbreds is because you always have a hold of them, except down the stretch if they're going in a straight line, and sometimes the drivers throw the lines anyway, and they're all over the place. But for the most part, they're going in a straight line. That's not the case with thoroughbreds. So I told him, I mentioned on the podcast to the trainer, even though I knew he wasn't listening, but it was just my opinion. And I called the fact that he was that bit wouldn't help. And I did a whole monologue on the bit and why it wasn't going to work. And sure enough, the next race, he did the same thing. So I mentioned that the first thing, if he was my horse, the first thing I would do is I would definitely just make sure, and it's probably not the reason, but just make sure he could see out of his right eye, that there's not a problem in his seeing. And I'm sure that's not the problem. The next thing I would do is if you don't want to try like a little line burr on the just bouncing off the left line, bouncing off his neck, so he'll turn his head the other way. That probably might work. It may not work. But the main thing that he should do, he could leave the equipment just the way it is when he's coming around the turn, steer out one path. In other words, if he's in the fourth path, go to the fifth path. This way, when they straighten out, he's not right on the horse in the third path. He has room to straighten his head and let him go straight, because your horse, if you watch the last part of the race, the last 30, 40 feet of the race, as soon as he got halfway by that horse, he turned his head loose. His head was perfectly straight. And if that didn't, he would have got beat. Anyway, that's my feeling. So anyway, I just put my 2 cents in.
Well, first of all, you're not allowed to have a line burr at the thoroughbreds. That's no go. Okay. The only thing they have is the burr leather circles that go inside the bit. That's the only thing that you can use.
The pelling pacifier on a horse that I claimed that refused to go, used to pull himself up, and I claimed him that day, and he pulled himself up, and so I put, as soon as I claimed him, and he did the same thing with me, but I put a pelling pacifier on, and a pelling for those of you who don't know, it's just a hood with full cups on him that are screens.
Yeah.
He was perfect. And when I put him in the race, the jockey, I told the exercise rider, you better come in with me because they're not going to want to ride because they never seen anything. He looked like a spaceman. So sure enough, the jockey didn't want to ride him, but the exercise rider, no, I train him. He's okay. And sure enough, he win.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'm going to play that race one more time so you can see what I mean. The last 10 feet.
Last 6 from the 16 pole down.
Well, even closer to the wire. But okay, we're going to play it again. I want.
And they're off. Concord Spirit flashes early speed from the far outside. Also in the early mix, here comes Light the Way and JD Factor right there too. But the speedy Muzara at the rail now moves on through, is a half length in front. It's Muzara at the rail, is now up by 3/4 of a length with Light the Way. Jose Liscano in full pursuit. Just tapping on the brakes is JD Factor. A lot of horse Manny Franco down on the inside. Just waiting for room now is a tracking third. Concord Spirit in the pink silks, center of the racetrack, is starting to move forward here as they have 4 furlongs left to go. They're followed by Vinsanity, is trying to get out, is held back in here by Lane Lezzy. The 2 at the back, Aberdeen is there with Ragazzo Diabolico, 22 and 3. For that opening quarter mile, Muzara is in front. It's Muzara who's got the lead, is still up by 3/4 of a length. Here comes the run from Light the Way from second. Concord Spirit is 3 wide. Still waiting for room. JD Factor continuing to look very strong here as they reach the top of the stretch, but nowhere to go. Muzara now kicks for home. It's Muzara who's in front. Concord Spirit down the center of the racetrack. Light the Way in between horses. Here comes the run from JD Factor who's in the center of the racetrack. A furlong left to go. JD Factor now in full pursuit. Concord Spirit does a nose in front. JD Factor catching with every stride. Concord Spirit battles on. JD Factor trying to get their Concord Spirit game and gets the win. JD Factor.
See what I mean? You see
Yeah.
the 16 pole. Yeah. Now, if coming around the last turn, if instead of riding right on that horse that he was alongside of, if coming around the last turn when he hit the straightaway, he would have just kept going straight into the next path. Then when they hit the straightaway, he could have turned his head loose and went right. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Probably.
But he win.
He got the check and he
But if
got
that horse on the rail didn't back off where your horse could have come in, he would have still been sideways. That outside horse would have beat you. That's all I'm saying, Eddie. You did a good job. Okay, what's the name of the next horse?
The name of the next horse is Trouble Luck. He's
Trouble
always
Luck.
trouble. He's always in trouble, this horse.
All right, here we go with Trouble Luck. This is the
She
horse.
paid $47.
I know it. I was telling my friend, I says I could have thrown a couple of hundred, gets me back 5,000. I says, but whatever. All right, here's the race. What's the horse's name? Trouble Luck.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
And they're off. Troubled Luck has early speed from in between horses. Focus Pocus is in the early mix too. Joining them, Accelerina's out wire. Mia Nipotina not far off, but the leader is Focus Pocus, who now emerges with the front, is up by a full length, almost a length and a half. To Be Loved by You is going to move through, is at the rail as they come out of the chute, and now these are the top two. Focus Pocus, followed by To Be Loved by You. Troubled Luck is a well-settled third. Out wider comes Mia Nipotina. Very wide is going to be Montauk Mystique as the gray is to the outside of Accelerina. They travel as a pair. They're now in fourth and fifth. Losing ground was Mia Nipotina, just got past to the inside. In the pink silks, that's the fact Jack. The trailer, Lucky and Gorgeous. Focus Pocus has the lead, didn't get to the rail, 23.30 for the opening quarter mile. Now Focus Pocus will get over to the rail, is taking back was To Be Loved by You, is sharing second, as here comes the move from Troubled Luck with 4 furlongs left to go. 47 seconds flat for a half mile time, and Focus Pocus is trying to sprint away, is doing just that. Troubled Luck is all in to the outside of To Be Loved by You, is at the rail, is back to third. Montauk Mystique is trying to rally from fourth. That's the fact Jack. Accelerina trying to make a move, tailing off Mia Nipotina is the trailer behind. Lucky and Gorgeous, they're still chasing Focus Pocus. Focus Pocus reaches the top of the stretch, is still in hand, and has about a 3.5 length lead, and Focus Pocus now gets the cue and kicks for home. Troubled Luck continues to give game chases, followed by Montauk Mystique towards the outside. That's the fact Jack is trying to rally on with Accelerina. A furlong left to go. Focus Pocus starting to come back to the field just a touch. Troubled Luck and Montauk Mystique, they're trying to run this front runner down. Focus Pocus needs the line. Focus Pocus trying to hang on. Troubled Luck lunges. Oh, it's a photo. Troubled Luck in between horses. Maybe a nose in front of Montauk. Went to the 5. Focus Pocus. 4th, the 6, Mia Nipatina. 3-9, 5-6 in race 6. Running time 1 minute 4.
You got the Bob.
Yeah.
That was a good
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
That was a very exciting race for that horse, you know.
I was trying to see if my eyesight is not too good. I was trying to see. I think he switched leads late in the straightaway.
Yeah.
He
That
did?
horse has the tendency to do the same thing, lug in, and she won't switch.
Yeah.
She's a pain in the ass to switch leads, but she got the job done. Her name is right, Trouble Luck. She's always, you know, I don't know. Sometimes it's her name that makes her lose.
You know what I don't understand in the standardbreds, in harness racing, and if you have a horse that really bears in on the turns and you're in front, you know, before you hit the turn, you come out, 1.5 positions. You come out a little bit to give you some room to come in. The jockeys don't do that. The same thing here with this horse and the other horse in the other race. If you know that if you're riding tight, which you have to do, you ride tight, you're right on the horse, but you know that when you come out of the turn, he's gonna bear in and be right on the horse. Why not just steer straight out and steer into the next lane and give yourself 4 feet, to maneuver?
It's difficult, Larry, because in the turn they're running in the most. So you really got to grab into them. It's difficult.
No, but when they first straighten out, right on the turn, in the turn, you're right on them. Now, when they straighten out, instead of straighten out with them, steer them out, get them crooked, steer them out to the next lane, and then turn them loose. Then turn them this way. They say, well, you'll lose a half a length. But you're losing more than that when he's sideways rubbing up against the other horse. Anyway, that's enough.
Well, most of those horses that make that turn around that left lead, and so it's very hard for them to fan out and switch to the right lead down the middle of the stretch. Some of them don't switch. Some of them are very,
Eddie,
yeah.
Let me just say this, and then I'm going to play that race one more time because I'm going to show you. Let me just say this. In the turn, let's say you're 3 wide, all the horses are right on one another, right? Okay.
Right.
Now, just at the point of the turn, when the straightaway comes, at the point of the turn, just stay like that. They're on the right line. Your horse's head is twisted. They're on the right line. And when they straight away, instead of letting them turn straight, because he's still going to be that way, you're still going to be right on the guy, just keep going out. Just keep going out. Once you go out and now there's 4 feet between you and the horse that you were just on, then turn his head. Once you turn his head on the left line, it's automatically going to make him switch leads and straighten his head out and go straight. I'm going to play that race one more time because I want to make sure I'm right. And then we're going to go to something else. We probably
easier said than done.
And they're off. Concord Spirit flashes early speed from the far outside. Also in the early mix, here comes
Eddie?
Light the Way and JD Factor right there too. But the speedy Muzara at the rail now moves on through, is a half length in front. It's Muzara at the rail, is now up by 3/4 of a length with Light the Way and Jose Liscano in full pursuit. Just tapping on the brakes is JD Factor. A lot of horse Manny Franco down on the inside. Just waiting for room now is a tracking third. Concord Spirit in the pink silks, center of the racetrack, is starting to move forward here as they have 4 furlongs left to go. They're followed by Vinsanity, is trying to get out, is held back in here by Lane Lezzy. The 2 at the back, Aberdeen is there with Ragazzo Diabolico, 22 and 3. For that opening quarter mile, Muzara is in front. It's Muzara who's got the lead, is still up by 3/4 of a length. Here comes the run from Light the Way from second. Concord Spirit is 3 wide. Still waiting for room. JD Factor continuing to look very strong here as they reach the top of the stretch, but nowhere to go.
Right
Muzara now kicks for home. It's Muzara who's in front. Concord Spirit down the center of the racetrack. Light the Way in between horses. Here comes the run from JD Factor, who's in the center of the racetrack. A furlong left to go. JD Factor now in full pursuit. Concord Spirit does a nose in front. JD Factor catching with every stride. Concord Spirit battles on. JD Factor trying to get their Concord Spirit game and gets the win.
Okay, I might be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Anyway, he win. That's the main thing is he win. What's the difference?
He got the scuttles.
Yeah, you got the money. All right. Okay, what else? Anthony, what have you been doing? We haven't seen you in a while. I know you got a new computer or something.
No, I didn't get a new computer. I don't know what the hell happened with everything. But
he used to,
it seems to be working now, so I'm going to leave
used
well
to-
enough alone.
we used to lose you every
I know, yeah,
every 5 minutes.
yeah.
And Joe, how's the ice cream business going?
It's all right. We got rained out the other day so bad, the whole place flooded.
Oh boy.
My father was like soaking wet. I felt so bad. It was
Is that
like,
place where you're at? Is it you're on gravel or dirt?
it's indoor and outdoor. It's like an old airplane hangar. They have indoor booths, and all around it outside, they have the outdoor booths. There's like 350, 400 different booths, vendors.
Oh, wow.
And it's a big place. But when it rains, it just seems to be a low point or something. And I get 6 inches of water under my equipment. I got everything propped up about 8 feet on cinder blocks all around it. I'll send you a picture of it next week. You got an idea what it looks like. It's
So you outside or inside?
I'm outside. I'm outside.
Yeah. You can't
Yeah.
get a booth inside?
I want to be outside. I'm selling Italian ices and ice cream. You want to be outside.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a nice breeze where I'm at. Inside in the summer, forget about it.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like
no
it
way.
hasn't.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Well, here's a picture I just found. I showed this picture a few times.
you
That's
just
Joe
found it.
Pesci when he was a barber. This is when they were all kids.
Yeah, it's
Frankie Valli, Joe Pesci, that's Tommy DeVito, the founder of the Four Seasons. Yeah, they all grew up together.
Hey, Larry,
What?
I was watching The Honeymooners, not the new, the ones that we're used to, like the lost episodes. And a knock came on the door, and Norton let him in. And he says, "Oh, here's Frankie. He's going to play his trumpet for us." And it was Frankie Valli at 12 years old.
Yeah.
They said it was his first TV debut.
Really?
And it was on The Honeymooners, but the lost episodes, not the ones that we're used to seeing. But yeah, and he played the trumpet and everything on there. And
I have pictures. I have pictures. I don't think I have them up. I have 3,000 pictures up here. I'm trying to find them of the house that Frankie Valli grew up in, and naturally I can't find them. But I want to show you. I want to show you something because a couple of people. I have. I got to say this. I have a couple of websites that people write messages in, and something happened where they said I got to change my password or something, and I got a bunch of messages on there. So for the ones who wrote the messages, I'll get to them, but I can't get in there unless I change the password. So I have to do that. The other thing I wanted to show you was this, because a couple of people asked me. They asked me how I could. First of all, here's Frankie Vincent, my pal. He grew up with them too. In fact, Pesci and him had an act since they were kids.
They were best friends.
Yeah. And he was the reason why I started this whole podcast. In fact, he wrote the foreword for my book, and he was one of the ones that convinced me to write the book. Him and Alfred and Sharman and Frank Collada, they all convinced me to write the book because they basically lived through everything I lived through with me. And let me tell you what happened. Because somebody asked me, and I could tell the best with pictures because I remember. Now, let me see if I could find it. Yeah. Okay. After I left, everybody knows the trouble that I got into with this guy, right? This is the guy that I owed all that money to had to come up with 15, 16,000 every.
Yeah, we heard that story.
Heard that story. Now let me tell you how it happened. You see this race here? This race was in, I think, August in 1970. What happened was 71. What happened? No, it was in, I forgot. It was in 69, I think. Anyway, what happened was this. I come from that racetrack. Where the hell did I come from? The place where I met Fat Tony. Jesus.
Lincoln Downs?
Lincoln Downs. I come from Lincoln Downs to Freehold. I made a few bucks at Lincoln Downs. I made a lot of money at Lincoln Downs. More, it was like 30, 40,000 I left there with. And I did really well because of Fat Tony. So when I'm shipping, I ship to Freehold, and I call up my friend Charlie, and I said, Charlie, because we stayed in touch even when I was away, and I says, yeah, I have a horse in. When I get there, I want you to come up, and I'll tell you when this horse is going to be in, and get as much money as you could and bet on him he won't lose. So he said, okay. So this was the race. You could see here that I won by 20 lengths. And when I left that race, I told him, he said, I have to borrow the money. I says, borrow as much as you could. Don't worry about it. Because if I get beat, I have the money and I'll give it to you. So he borrowed whatever he borrowed. And so after the race, I go meet him in the dining room, and he introduces me to this guy, and this is Cabert, and this is Little Sammy. Them two were together. So and that's how it started. So naturally, he says to me, "Look, whatever you need, whatever you want, da 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 da." And I followed that race up with this race here, and this race was, I think, a week later, and he went easy, and then this race here with Shiloh Hanover, and each of them win by 10, 15 lengths, and that really made our relationship really solid, and that was the first time I met Cabert and Sammy, and that was the beginning of my
the nightmare.
Yeah, of the nightmare. Yeah. So anyway, whoever asked me that question, that's the answer. And then right after that, when I got to Monticello, that's when I got a hold of this guy. Remember Stewie Younger? I put him in all them gin rummy contests with all the guys at the Concord. Okay, so anyway, that's enough about me. And we go to your pal here. That's you know who that is, right?
Nah.
Evil Eyes.
Frankie, baby.
Frankie. You ever hear from his son anymore?
No.
They must be doing well. He must be doing well.
He was smart, and
yeah,
he's probably living in the Caribbean somewhere.
Yeah. And
Do you know Frankie's funeral? They brought him. He had a horse-drawn white, it looked like Cinderella cart with his coffin in it. He went down, 187th and all around his neighborhood, and he walked the whole, like 200 people followed the horse-drawn. I think it was two white horses and a big white cart, like a, a beautiful, like old cart. And his coffin was in there, and they rode around the neighborhood.
He was the man in the Bronx, boy.
Well, without a doubt.
Yeah, he was the guy.
Yeah.
187th, that's Arthur Avenue.
Yeah.
I lived on 183rd.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, it's on YouTube. If you look at just put in Frankie Loke's funeral, they show the whole thing. It's really nice, actually. His daughter's behind the car, and It's really nice.
Anthony, if you had to compare the food, including the cannolis and all of that, between Little Italy and Arthur Avenue, where would you go?
Arthur Avenue.
Really?
Artuzo's Bakery.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know
Yeah.
Artuzo's?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
Arthur, you can't beat Arthur Avenue food.
That is my pal, that poor guy. What he went.
Oh, Frank Colada.
Colada. All right, what else you want to talk about?
Larry, my brother had a question.
Yeah.
Where he lives on a farm, and this girl has a mare or a filly, and the horse goes in the stall no problem, doesn't want to come out. And I mean, there's nothing outside there for the horse to be afraid of, or I don't know. It used to come in and out of the stall easy, but now they got to leave the stall door open, leave her alone, and when she's ready, that's when she'll come out. But no longer does she just come out of the stall and.
It's a mare, right?
The horses, yeah.
It's a mare. Yeah. Well, a couple of things. Naturally, if I'm not there, but if we were there, we would figure it out real quick. The first thing is you got to make sure. I'm assuming that she's not sour. I'm assuming she's not a sour, rotten bitch.
She is ornery. She is ornery. That's the horse I told you about. That they would have to tranquilize her to get blood from her.
All right, so that's one problem. The first thing I would do with her, the first thing probably is just get a little goat and throw the goat in the stall with her, and then hang some tires or something from the ceilings and give her just sweeten her up. It's a racehorse, right?
No, it's not a racehorse. No.
Oh, so then you could treat her with some hormones or something. The vet will probably give her something to sweeten her up. You won't have to go through all that trouble. The other reason is just make sure once she's out of the stall, she's okay.
Yeah, when she's out, she's okay. It's just getting her out.
She had to have a bad
experience
at one time.
Yeah,
she had to have a bad experience coming out of the stall.
Yeah, she had to. They checked her hips. I mean, there's no markings or anything.
It's just the idea that something happened at one point that she's going to remember. At one point
to scare her enough where she's hesitant to come out.
Thinking about that.
You said it, Anthony. Usually when they hit their hip coming out of a stall, then they're, that happens. But you said there was no marks. There was no.
Did that happen?
No, there was no marks or anything on it. But who knows? Hey, she could bank her hip and not be a mark too.
What is she? Just a riding horse?
Yeah. She's a riding horse. Yeah. She has about 5 horses there. But this is just an ornery mare,
So you just assuming she's sound and she's not ornery because she's not sound. Assuming she's sound, assuming everything else is okay, she's just an ornery mare. You just got to sweeten her up, either with drugs or get her a goat.
Yeah.
Normally with them ornery mares, you just get a goat, throw a goat in there.
Yeah, put Tom Brady in a stall with her.
Yeah. All right.
Listen, anybody listen and want to ask questions?
You got a whole bunch of them here.
I know. I'm going to put them up now. We need a little help here because after okay, here we go. I'll run them down. Okay, let's see. Dominic, your brother. Hi, Larry. Always an education listening to your podcast. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Dom.
Hey, Anthony.
Hi, Dominic. Okay, Rodney Evans, a.k.a. Hot Rod. Finally, I catch you live. Have been having to watch all the lives on the playback. Oh, that's all right. Well, thanks for watching.
It's Tuesday. That's why.
Yeah, well, we're going to go on Tuesday and Thursday because now I got a lot of people want to come on. We're going to start to have a lot of harness guys on.
You get the second string on Tuesdays now, and then you get the starters on Thursday now.
No, on Thursday the politicians want to come on.
Yeah.
So now we're going to have a lot of the Hall of Fame guys and guys like Donnie Dancer, Joe. We'll try to get a whole bunch of guys on, but there's not enough. I mean, how many people we're going to have on here? And I wanted to make this day a special day for Eddie.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Okay, let's see here. Sundance. Hi, Larry, Joe, Eddie, and Anthony. Hi, Sundance.
Hey, Sundance.
Where were you last week, Sundance?
Okay. Hello. Okay, that's twice.
Angelique.
Angel IQ.
Evans. Edward, do you have a horse running on Wood Memorial undercard? Eddie, do you have a horse running on the Wood Memorial undercard? If so, what race and what's the name of the horse?
No, I'm running Thursday.
Okay, so the answer is no. Okay, hi, Sundance. Oh,
Highs.
Hi.
here she is.
Angelique, there she is.
Didn't this girl have a picture before? Oh, no, that's Sundance.
Yes.
She's just
No, she
saying
did
hello
that.
to
She did.
Okay,
No, she did.
I got
Under
it.
her name, she has a picture.
Yeah. Okay, here she is.
There she is.
Okay, they're talking amongst themselves, which is good. That's a different picture, I think, than she used to have. Okay, Eric, I'm surprised Tuesday show. Eric, the reason we have Tuesday show is because Freddie Hudson, he's gone to Washington and lobbying to try to save harness racing. Plus, he's lobbying for a bill to come out to save the horses, all the horses that are retired or done with racing or break down. That instead of going to slaughter, he wants to save them, and so he asked if he can come on and bring some politicians on and try to promote that whole thing. So there would never be enough time because the last two podcasts I did with him lasted 3 hours. So I figured we, my Joe and Anthony and Eddie, we would come on and just fool around, answer any of your questions because it gets a little more serious when Freddie comes on. And I think this Thursday, if Billy O'Donnell is back from Florida, I think he's coming on Thursday. So when you get all of these superstars that come on, you can't, you got to give them the whole time for themselves because there's so much to talk about. They win 1 million races and there's so much to talk about. So I says the best thing to do is just have two shows, and if it gets more busy, we'll have more. And by the way, don't forget to hit. What am I supposed to say? Hit the like,
Hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell.
Yeah, and somebody wrote in because I can't say that word. Algorithm. Yeah, somebody spelled it out for me. Algorithms. Algorithm. Yeah, because if you hit like, somebody said it helps the whatever it does. I don't know. Anyway, Sheldon, want to know why harness racing is dying? Watch race 5 at Saratoga Harness. The 2-horse driver showed zero aggressiveness in the stretch, never once head-to-head, nose-to-nose. One effort to win, no effort to win. Well, what could I say? I can't say too much.
Well, it could be something else too. I mean, if the horse is getting a little rough, you got to, hold them together. There's a lot of,
Well, I'm sure
things that go on in a race that just the average person doesn't know about, and it might look like that, and that might not be the case.
Well, also they said I wish I had the ability to bring the horse up. I mean, if he was 3 to 5, that would be a definite concern. But I'm sure that if he was 3 to 5 or the favorite, I'm sure the judges would call him up if what you're saying actually happened, and I'm sure it did. But if he was a 90 to 1 shot and you just needed him in an exacta or a trifecta, and he just showed no aggressiveness, maybe he could just about keep up. I don't know, but Sheldon, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure that he was probably, who knows?
Tell him to send the race to you and we'll analyze it.
Yeah.
Analyze.
Yeah.
That's all.
Sheldon, there's a lot more reasons than the 5-horse at Saratoga. And then this 2-horse, it's at the 5th race at Saratoga. Maybe that's one of the reasons, but there are a whole bunch ahead of it. Okay, let's see. Michael, congratulations on Eddie's win last week. I believe he is a 25% trainer now. Wow, Eddie. Wow. You're gonna get the award for. Do they have an award for like trainers with less than like 30 starts or something like that?
No, they used to have the contest like trainers that have 20 or less or 10 or less. And like last year I finished second, and the prize was 16,000. So I missed the grand prize, 20,000, by one point. So
Wow.
but the percentage, wow.
How many horses you got in training now?
I only got 4. We got rid of a couple of deadbeats, and I'm going to claim one on Wood Memorial Day, and I'm going to the sale April 12th. They're looking for a 2-year-old. So
Yeah, you see, Eddie, you win a couple of races, and then you you said 2 weeks ago, I'm going to get out. I'm getting tired.
well, you know what it is. Listen,
See, Eddie,
what can I tell you? Years ago, a wise guy lived across the street from me. He used to give me $10 every day to start his car. So,
yeah, you know why?
It was the easiest $10 you ever made.
You used to do it, right, Eddie?
$10, huh?
You should have told him get a remote starter. Oh, boy. Probably half the people don't understand why we're laughing.
Probably not. Man.
Oh, boy. Okay. Tom, caution, Larry, you need a big-time distributor to make a successful movie. You're 1,000% right. But I think my friend he already made 4 or 5 movies, and he's making a couple this year. And I already spoke to him about it. He already has foreign distributors. He has all of that in place. Now, naturally, it's not going to be $100 million movie or a $50 million movie, but he's a pretty sharp guy. He's been making his own movies himself by himself. He writing them and directing them, the whole bit. He has a whole crew with him. He knows what he's doing, and if I was, you got to remember, I've been working on this project since 2019, and COVID just destroyed me. And then
Plus all the strikes.
The strikes destroyed me. So I've been waiting since 2019, and it got to the point now where once all the strikes were over, and everybody started to go, then AI, artificial intelligence, come into the picture, and then all the networks and studios are very, very leery about anything. They're very careful, and even though my story is basically unique and has never been done before, anything like it, they're like I said, I had an appointment with Fox, but it just so happened that I got sick and I wound up in the hospital and I couldn't make the appointment, and now I just got to wait for the other appointment. But I really think I'd like to try to raise the money myself. I don't need much. I could probably make it for $3-4 million, and I control the whole thing. I can get the actors I want. I already have everything picked out. I already have the screenplay written. I have everything written. But you're 1,000% right. This distribution is just as important as whoever stars in the movie. So, another thing I can do is I could probably let's say I raise $300,000-$500,000, hook up to a real big star, a star that just sells overseas all around the world. Give them a non-refundable $300,000. Say, let me use your name, and I use his name to raise the rest of the money, and that could work too. So, but I'm gonna wait another month or two, and before I make that decision. But you're right, Tom. distributor is, and that's why the deal I had with Sony Pictures and Village Roadshow, they were a major distributor in the whole. They dealt with 180 countries, and they bought the option for my story, and they paid me, but it was for 16 months, and COVID happened the day before we were supposed to sign the contract. So we waited 2 years. They asked me to re-sign, and I didn't re-sign because they couldn't tell me when they would, when we could start the movie, because they said they shut everything down for 2 years. They had a lot of projects that they were in the middle of. So I decided not to re-sign. I signed with Frank Vallalongo, who and his brother Nick, who wrote Green Book. They won the Academy Award.
Great movie.
They flew here, and we were. In fact, they stayed at my house, and we were looking for locations and everything. And then Frank wind up getting some cocaine laced with fentanyl, and he died. And that was the end of that deal. And then I hooked up with Barry O'Brien, who writes for Law and Order, and Law. He wrote and did maybe 50 TV series, all big ones, starting with Ally McBeal all the way up to all heavyweight stuff. He wants to make a TV series, but the problem now is that it's hard to get a studio to pick up a TV series because of A&I, and they found out that because of all the strikes and everything, that they could do reality shows for $200,000 an episode, where a TV series cost them $2, $3, $4, $5 million an episode. So they're very, very careful. But Tom, you're right. Okay, Dave, Guy, Sheldon. He says hello to you, Sheldon. Tom. Hi, Eddie. Good to see you back. Have you ever raced in Delaware? Eddie? No. I raced at Delaware. I just about maybe for 3 years straight. A really good track, good paddock, big casino. I liked it. I liked the racing there. It was good. That's when Mike McCarthy was there, and I left. Mike McCarthy was a leading jockey there for, I think, 10, 11 years. And in fact, I was living in his house. I was living with him. And when he retired, that's when I left. Okay. Tom Lusky, can't get in the big theaters without a good distributor. You're right. I'm aware of that. But you know, Tom, I ain't looking for no Academy Awards. I'm 84, 85 years old.
It's getting late.
It's getting late. And now if I could just make enough to pay off my house and just go out on a high note and take care of a couple of my close friends and try to help some people that really need help. I would really like that. So I don't have to win an Academy Award. I don't have just make enough to pay off my house, have a few bucks in the bank, and help some friends.
I'll send you my address.
That need help. I already have it. I have it. The reason I have it is because all you guys are getting envelopes. Okay, here we go. Michael, Larry, you said you were going to have some drivers this week. Yes, this week, Thursday. If Billy O'Donnell is back from Florida, Billy O'Donnell will be on Thursday. That's the first one. Then every Thursday after that, we'll have somebody on. But Eddie wants to bring a lot of these politicians on, trying to promote that thing. But we're gonna have some drivers on. Right now, you have me, Joe, all has-beens on. But we're gonna get some real live drivers on. Okay, Eric, I posted last week but not read. Please pray for Dave. But what happened to him? I have heard is dealing heavily with death of. Oh, Oh, I
Not the
think
Bronx.
his is the horse that made the break. Wow. Pollone's horse breaking caused the chain reaction. Yeah, that has to be a heavy. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
He's a good guy too, Dave Pollone. Great driver. Really good guy. Nice guy. Yeah, he's wow.
well, that's a tough thing. You're right.
Yeah.
You know, who passed away, Pat Crow.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah. And you know who interviewed him? The guy who I had on here. That
Spencer Ross.
yeah,
Yeah.
Spencer Ross. Yeah, he was on here. I got to get him back, but he didn't look. He didn't. He. I don't know. Anyway, who got the king on? You, Eddie?
Yeah.
You ever see him anymore? Somebody told me he won a race. We got
Yeah. Well, yeah, he won a race the same day I did. Yeah. And then I beat him out with Trouble Luck. That was his gray horse on the outside with Katie Davis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Next time you see him, ask him if he wants to come on again. We can.
He's announcing at Yonkers now.
Oh, he is.
And Johnny D is driving the starting gate full time.
Johnny D. Simone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Well, what happened to Andy Toscano?
Who? Andy Toscano?
Andy was the starter when I left Yonkers. Andy
No
Toscano.
more. That was 1904.
Well, 1904. It was 2012.
13 years ago. No.
But he was young. He was 10 years younger than me.
I don't know what happened to him, but I know.
I mean, after Dick Welch left, he took over.
Yeah, and then Johnny took over.
I'm talking about Yonkers.
Yeah, Johnny took over.
But Andy was a good starter.
Well, everybody out there, pray for Dave Pollone.
Yeah. My deepest sympathy and condolences to Hunter Myers' family, and what can I say? God bless you.
They're doing a lot of. It's too bad because the horsemen very rarely stay together, especially state to state. But they offered this kid, and good for them. And they're doing a lot of stuff. In fact, there's I just saw it on Facebook just before we went on, and let me see if I could find it. I forgot who it was. Here it is. They're starting. They're starting a fund, and Tim Finley, him and his wife, are starting a fund for Hunter, and they're making the first contribution of $500. The Hunter Myers Research and Development Organization. If one is formed, it's for prevention works, he says. So they're doing something. Something's in the works for that, which is great. And just keep giving me updates, and we'll all contribute and help out in any way we can. But Dave Pollone, what he's going through, that's going to be with him for a long time, probably forever. It's too bad. Okay, Rodney Evans. Sundance. I will definitely pray for both. I work for Dave. Great guy. I heard about Hunter last week. Any updates on future of Freehold? Yeah, it's probably going to be a shopping center.
A mall.
A mall. They took the barn area away to make a mall, and now they're probably going to extend it. Who knows? Okay, Eddie, is your horse live? Yeah, Eddie, so I can answer for Eddie. Yes, the horse is alive tomorrow in the second race. Horse name is
Dolce Sada. Yeah.
Does he have a shot, Eddie? You might as well.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes.
He has a shot, a good shot or a small shot?
He'll hit the board.
No. That he'll hit the board. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. What do you want me to tell you? He'll hit the board. He'll be 1, 2, 3.
We don't want to know about 2, 3.
You could win, place, and show, you know.
If you were in a room with John Gotti and John Gotti says, you like that horse tomorrow, and you give him that bullshit answer, yeah, he'll be 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Leave the room.
you might hit the board.
1, 2, 3.
I was in a room with somebody like that, and believe me when I tell you, no, thank you.
I was in that room many times.
Okay, Nowhere Man says Sierra Leone. Yeah, that's the horse that has the same problem.
Yeah.
I'm dying to see him race back again because, there's not much. Naturally, you have to assume his vision is good. You have to assume the teeth are out of his mouth. You have to assume. And another thing I was thinking, here's another thing. It probably have no effect, but there's still another thing. They don't pull the wolf teeth on thoroughbreds. They leave them.
Yeah.
Thoroughbreds, they pull the wolf teeth because of the overcheck. On thoroughbreds, they don't pull the wolf teeth. Now, if you're riding a horse, and you can see every horse, every thoroughbred at the head of the stretch, they just throw the lines at them. The lines are loose. That means that bit is rattling in their mouth, okay? And that's why a lot of them tie their tongue so the tongue don't get over the bit. But if just that bit rattling in their mouth happens to just nick that wolf tooth, that's like a drill hitting your nerve in your tooth. So when you get a horse like Sierra Leone and he still has that problem, and they're racing for millions of dollars, you got to check everything from the eyes to the wolf teeth to everything that could possibly make a horse stay with his head twisted like that. And because driving bits don't work because you're throwing the lines at him, so the bit is just loose in his mouth. Do what you're doing. Create some kind of equipment that would force him to see. Same way with thoroughbreds. If they go with their head up high, they put a shadow roll on them, so they lower their head so they can see over the shadow roll. Well, if a horse is running in, and that's what they got to be careful of, for horses running in with the standardbreds, we will put a Murphy blind on and almost blind the inside eye. So to see out of both eyes, they would make their head straight. Now you're going to put a half cup on the horse, which might help, but it also might create a situation where he don't see the horse on the inside and crashes more. But that'll be up to you, and I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Diamond cut.
Diamond. Okay, you're going to cut a little diamond in the thing.
Yes.
A little diamond in a half cup. That's for the people that don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Hey,
I float the horse's teeth basically I see a horse getting up on a line or getting his head cocked or really bad. I definitely have the dentist. As a matter of fact, I just had them float all their teeth and pull out their wolf teeth and molars and everything else.
I should listen. When I rant like this, it's not for you because I already know you know, and the reason I know you know is because you were in the standardbred business before you went to the thoroughbred business.
And I learned a hell of a lot more with the standardbreds than that's why people go to me, how could you race your horses so fast? And I tell them, I'm a trotter trainer. That's what I tell them. I say I condition my horses like I do with a standardbred. And I'm not saying I jog them 5 miles, but I'll tell you one thing. I don't let up on them. I make sure that they get a lot of air in their lungs and let them, when they run, they're not coming back blowing. So they might be overclassed. Yes.
Well, that's your fault too.
Yes. Well, if you can't race, I didn't race for 6 weeks.
Half the trainer's job is knowing how to read the condition.
Yes. Well, like everybody say, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And classification is 90% of the game.
Well, not 90, but it's a big part of the game. But I also, you know that too. Okay, let's go. Hey, Larry, hope you are feeling better. I got killed Florida Derby weekend, waiting for my 20%
Oh shit!
to put on a Band-Aid on my losses. Can you ask Joe when are they coming? I can hold my breath. Okay, that got to be a sarcastic job, but I'm glad he's watching, and just keep him coming. How do you say his name? Christos? Crisco Santos?
Christos Sarantos.
Yeah. Okay, Christos. Very good.
So
You know who's funny like this to tell these kind of things? The guy who hopefully he comes on Thursday, Billy O'Donnell. He's with all of these kind of things. He's funny as hell. I told him once he could be a stand-up comedian. Okay, I drove to Philly to eat at Joey Molino's cheesecake place. Did you really? Dave Titty Bar. Geez, I wonder if you really did, Dave. Let me know how it was. Okay. Larry, stop giving Eddie advice. The 2 horses won. You're right. You're right, Michael. You're right. You're right.
That's Eddie's cousin.
In the meantime, I'll just say this, Michael. I'll just say this. You could be sure that Eddie will figure it out. You could be sure that he'll figure it out one way or the other. He knows. I tease him a lot, and sometimes I talk too much. I just run my mouth. Okay.
I learned from the best.
And do you know too? Do you know where was this guy, Michael? Michael, he used to sleep on my floor. He used to sleep on my floor. He used to come home 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I have to climb over his body and Frankie's body, and who else was there? Bernie's body and Helen's body. I used to come home because I used to stay out late. I go listen to music, and I come home. I'd be stepping all over these guys. So I know he knows. Okay, here we go. Sal from Yonkers hit a pick 6. Who's Sal Lacuso? You know, anybody know him?
I don't.
Maybe he means Lacasio.
No.
I don't know.
No, I don't.
Whoever it is, he hit a pick 6, so good for him.
Okay, there's a 20%.
Okay, here's Christos. Yeah, Dave, I know him. He's a friend of ours. Yeah, Dave, I know him. He's a friend of ours. Okay, so they're talking amongst themselves. I got it. Okay, Tommy Dimes. Here we go with the nickname. Do you know that I have a list? I forgot who gave it to me. A list of all the wise guys from Philadelphia and New Jersey, all nicknames. It's a gigantic list. I'm gonna print it out someday. All nicknames of wise guys. Well, here's one. Tommy Dimes. Who's the best driver? Carmine. Well, there's different eras and everything else, but if you had to glom them all together, they can't just be one, because there's a lot that goes into it. And but the ones, I'll put it to you this way. Through the years, the ones that, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, the leading drivers at a particular meet or would be in the top 5 or 10 or 20. And how do you separate O'Donnell from Campbell? How do you separate O'Donnell, Campbell, and LaChance? How do you separate these guys? How do you do it? It's impossible. I drove in races with from the 60s all the way up until maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I think my last race was, I don't know, but they're all very, very gutsy and very, very, very professional. And when you get in a race and you look behind the gate and you look to your left and you look to the right, and every one of these guys are in the Hall of Fame, and there you are. It could be intimidating. So there's no way that I could list probably a top 20 and not in order, but I could give you 20 guys that would be the best, and Carmine would be one of them. But and then for a lot of these guys that you might think the best, they might have a reason why they got to that point, but talent-wise, they may not be as good as somebody that's a little lower. But that's a whole other discussion. But the good guys are the ones that last and stayed up there a long time. Carmine won a lot of titles and a lot of races, and he got banged up pretty good a few times and came right back.
Yep.
Okay. When you go wide, you lose ground. Come on, PN. What's PN? Come on.
Or just come on. It probably typo.
Yeah, but I said that when you go wide, you lose ground. I already said that, but if you're coming around a turn, if you just keep going straight instead of making the left to go to the straight, just keep going straight for 5 more feet. That's one stride. Go into the next lane and then straighten out. That's how much ground you're going to lose. How much ground if you watched Eddie's race in Sierra Leone lost every race because down the stretch he could never steer off the horse on the inside. He just had him like a corkscrew. And the same thing with Eddie's horse. Now just picture if you watch the last 20 feet of the race, the horse on the rail just backed up. When he backed up, it gave the jockey on Eddie's horse room to come in just a foot. That's all he had to come in was a foot. That foot straightened the horse's head out, and that's what made him win. That's all I'm saying. Of course, I know you lose ground. I'm aware of all that, but you lose a whole lot more ground. Eddie's horse in Sierra Leone never made up one length, the whole length of the stretch. Had a ton of horse. And if that horse wasn't on the inside, would have opened up 10 lengths. I'm aware. Okay. Hi, guys. Nice shirt, Larry. Nice chain. Great hair, Joe. Nice hat, Anthony. Very good. Rick Simon, very good.
We all got compliments.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wore this shirt because I ain't got the guts to wear it out.
But just remember one thing. You guys got material compliments. I got natural compliments.
Yeah, right.
All right there, ice cream man. Take it easy.
All right.
Good humor.
Cool that you knew Frank Vincent. He was great playing the Philly character on Sopranos. I got in trouble quoting his line on Joey's channel. Who's Joey's channel?
Merlino.
Why would he get in trouble?
Maybe Joey didn't like it. I don't know.
Wow.
I went to 2 concerts at the Hard Rock, and I sat next to Frank Vincent twice. My friend was the head bouncer there, and he used to put me in the front row. And on 2 occasions, Frank Vincent was right next to me. And I got to meet him and talk to him. And matter of fact, one of the times was Frankie Valli we went to see. Yeah, he was a nice man.
We were supposed to do the first podcast. He wrote the foreword for my book.
I know.
I'm sure you're right. And he was supposed to be my co-host. He was supposed to sit right next to me. And
now you got stuck with us.
Yeah, right.
And then he died. And when he died, I didn't want to do it. And everybody, no, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. Because the book got picked up right away. I really didn't have to do it, but all my friends made me do it. So I got Jimmy to come and help me, because in the beginning it was about the mob and all that bullshit. And Jimmy was right in the middle of all of that. His father was a heavyweight guy, and so he came on, and we did the whole part of the book. But after Frank died and I had made that deal with Village Roadshow and Sony, there was really no reason for me to do the podcast. But now it's been, God, maybe 120 podcasts we did already. And now being that because of certain situations, I'm home all the time. So now I just keep it going. In fact, it was you guys that convinced me to keep it going.
Right.
Yeah, it was you guys. I was going to end it.
I called you and told you,
Yeah.
calm down, wait.
Yeah.
Take a couple of weeks, but that's it.
Yeah. But Frankie was a good guy and a good friend of Alfred too. In fact, I'm going to show you something. Let's see if I could screw this up now. Let's see. I'm going to show you something right now. Let's see.
Don't put Liza Minnelli on.
No. Here.
I left it with the money. Got muscled on the street. The guys I owed them. So that's what I did. I gave them the money. That's what I did.
Yeah? You call yourself a man? You know you're a lying, low-life, motherfucking gambling, degenerate prick. You know that's what you are? 2 small kids at home. I gave you money to pay the fucking rent and buy groceries, put the heat on. You know your wife called Frank and told her the fucking heat's off? Huh? And you didn't gamble that fucking money. You gonna stand here and tell me that? No, you didn't? Don't fuck with me, Al. Don't make a fuck out of me. You want to embarrass me, make a fool out of me? You didn't gamble? Tell me you gambled the fucking money. I'll give you the fucking money to put the fucking heat on. Did you gamble? Huh? Fucking degenerate, you. Fucking kids at home. Here, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, thanks. Let me find out you fucked up. I'll leave you wherever I find you.
I see the truth of that whole thing. Out of them 3 guys, Frankie, Vincent, and Pesci, and Alfred's the only one that never gambled. Frank was a gambler, and Pesci was Pesci got in a lot of trouble running numbers when he was a kid, and plus he owned thoroughbred racehorses, and Frank, everybody gambled in that scene except the guy who played the gambler. Okay, I don't know why Rick got in trouble for saying he quoted. I don't know, but let's go back to the things here. Where is it? Oh, I lost my place. Oh, here we are. Okay, let's go. Fat Tony testified New Jersey against Winter Hill. This is all. It has to be Fat Tony. That has to be Tony Schuler, not Tony from New York. It has to be Tony Schuler.
Yeah, well, before when you said Fat Tony, people probably thought you were talking about Salerno. But
yeah, I know.
Tony Schuler.
No, but it was Tony Schuler.
Right.
Yeah, against,
that's what I picked that up right away. They're going to get confused.
Yeah. Well, he testified against everybody. He's a big rat. Against Winter Hill, yeah, and I think they really wanted because Whitey Bulger was still on a run at that time. I think they were really trying to get Whitey Bulger, but who knows? Okay, what's this? What happened here? Who is the best in the Wood Memorial on Saturday? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't follow it. I have enough time following my new diet. That's a whole show in itself, boy. Okay, congrats on the recent wins, Eddie. Steve says, congratulations, Eddie.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
Okay, did Eddie bet on his winners? He's not going to answer that, but I can answer it for him. Yes.
You got change of a quarter.
I told this story once, and I'm going to tell it real quick now. I had a horse. I bet $10,000 on this horse. I had the 8-hole Saturn. I'm not going to go through the whole. I'll just tell it real quick. I bet $10,000. So I give my father the $10,000. I said, just bet it slow. Just stay near the window and just bet it slow. They didn't have these new computerized machines where you could just go in and say, give me 10,000 on the 8 horse. You just bet it slow, little at a time, but put like 500, go to another 500. Okay. So my mother says, aren't you going to bet it for a second? And I says, Ma, no, he's betting it to win. Anyway, Satch Werner had the rail. Satch Werner parks me. So I figure I have to bust out of the gate real good. So I try to time the gate because the 8-hole going around that turn, they're going 100 miles an hour. And then when they hit the straightaway, it backs right up in your face.
The gate bounces.
So I had to stay off the gate in the turn. In the meantime, the recall pole is right after the turn. And the starter's yelling, get that 8-horse up here. So I come charge and hope but I just missed. And I ram him into the gate. He bounces off the gate, makes a break, comes back pacing, and I leave out of there a little late. And sure enough, I didn't get the jump on Satch Werner from the rail, who was a stone front runner. He would never let nobody go. But anyway, I got the lead from him past the quarter pole. And halfway down the stretch, I was in front by 4 or 5 lengths. And I'm looking at the tote board, and I see 5-2 or 9-2 or something like that. But then I hear the crowd roaring. And who's coming? And I look back, and here all I see is a hand with a green sleeve left.
Joe Feraldo and Enrock's Dream.
Feraldo coming.
Enrock's Dream.
And after the race, I blew the bet. So I go upstairs, and his father, Doc Ferrari, his father was a doctor. I had to borrow a quarter to get back over to Triborough Bridge. Triborough Bridge was a quarter at that time. And then I borrowed a quarter to get back over to Triborough Bridge, and I got home, and I had to listen to my mother.
What a bet for second, Larry. I told you.
Yeah. It's tough bet to lose. So you never. Okay, the Eddie parlay paid bloody fortune. Yep. Okay, Sundance. Hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell. That's right, Sundance. Hit like because it does something with the algorithms. Hit subscribe. It's all for free. So just do it because it helps the aneurysms or whatever you call it. Okay. Oh, here it is. Algorithm. That's Sundance. She used to work for me. She comes to my house now to watch the dog sit for me. The dog loves her. Okay. Steve, absolute disgrace that races had to be canceled at the Big A this past Sunday because the casino couldn't coordinate with Trace Track. If I had a horse in Sunday, I'd have been really pissed. What happened, Eddie?
What happened was the casino had a big car show and a concert. And the concert, the band was on top of the parking lot roof at the top of the stretch. And the band was so loud, it was scaring the sugar out of the horses. So the cops went over there to, tell them to, not play the music loud or move the band. And they wouldn't do it because they had permits and they were legal. So they canceled the races because of the noise was so bad that the horses were, those horses coming around that stretch, coming around that turn, man, they would have been scared shitless,
That's the exact reason why when making my movie, I can't have live racing because even with Seabiscuit and all them other movies, even that TV series Luck, they use live.
Oh yeah.
Destroyed the
I remember racing the Westchester County Fair. We used to have to race with the roller coasters. Matter of fact, one of those races I sent you, Larry, was during the Westchester County Fair, and you see the roller coasters and all kinds of rides and stuff going on. Right, and I even spoke to Mr. Rooney at the time. I said, Mr. Rooney, can you coordinate this that we could get a 2-minute racing?
Well, you were lucky because standardbreds could basically handle it. Thoroughbreds, they
Yeah.
can't even handle a tractor on the track at the same time.
You know, it's unbelievable.
You know,
Yeah.
crazy. Okay.
They canceled Gulfstream too on Sunday for the rain, because of the rain. It rained so hard that they canceled all
Yeah.
the big races.
Yeah.
I heard that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with this Heiser again. They're looking really Emerald Downs in Washington State. They got like a $4 million type budget or something. Heiser wants $1.3 million out of that $4 million to run that track. And man, even Joe Ferraldo wrote about it on Facebook. They are destroying this game, destroying it. And I don't know, man. I wish we could get into the governor or somebody in politics to get rid of that damn thing. They're terrible.
All right. David wrote, I thought Aqueduct was canceled Sunday because of high winds, but you just heard the real reason why it was canceled, David. So, Steve, no, because of loud music during the car and motorcycle show. Right. Okay. Jeffrey B. Aqueduct was canceled because of the far turn. They had racing cars and loud engines, and they would have scared the horses. Righto, Jeffrey. Okay, Steve.
There we go. The music.
Right. Everybody knows Steve. Jeffrey B. Steve, terrible. Track doesn't give a shit about their customers. We have to do 100 hours about that. Eric, to you all, can the grieving family say for Hunter Myers demand the race replay when he died? Can they demand it not be replayed? To all of you, can the grieving family say for Hunter Myers demand that the replay of when he died, can they demand it not be played? Well, I really don't understand. You know, I don't think they should. I don't think they should. And I think I think the racetrack would honor that and just never put it out, never play it, and that would be that. It would be devastating, I think, for Dave Pallone and the family of Hunter Myers to watch that. Why would you want to watch that?
It's not entertainment. It's not, what the hell?
Yeah,
I think they can demand it not be played. And I don't think the racetrack, if the racetrack ever played that, they should be
sued.
Licensed. Okay, Steve, customers are owners and trainers. It's not free to get a horse to the track. It's not free to get a horse to the track ready to race. Customers are owners and trainers. No, it's not free. No matter every day, probably the average price is probably average, maybe $100 now for the thoroughbreds, maybe right around $100 a day. So, and not counting if you had a ship to, it's a pain in the ass when they cancel the races and you come a long way. Some guys come ship for 2-3 hours to get there. It's tough. Jeffrey B. Aqueduct cares more about the casino than the horse players. Is that right, Eddie?
Basically, yeah.
Okay, don't say no more. They'll take your skulls away.
That's all right. Then I can come on your show with you.
They can't wait until the whole thing moves to Belmont. When is that going to happen, Eddie?
Well, 26, I guess. The tracks are all finished. All the 4 tracks are done, and now they're just putting up they're starting to do the construction on the building.
All the bonds going to stay the same, or they building new bonds?
Well, they're taking one at a time. They're they're fixing them up, putting new roofs, putting new windows, new side. Some they're knocking down, and plus they're building more dormitories for these immigrants. I don't want to speak anything negative, but you know. But yeah, 2026, they should be open.
Jeffrey says Belmont is going to be all expensive suites. Tom, Larry inviting the politicians to his show. Sumer and Pelosi. Oh boy. No, they're too busy counting their money. Can you imagine the amount of money Nancy? I heard something about a husband, all the money that they have. Oh my God! But
Insider training.
that.
It's
Oh,
all insider trading money.
Yeah.
Steve King won with Mighty Atlas. Oh, the King won with Mighty Atlas. The horse you beat, Eddie, is not King's. He only has Mighty Atlas, and the horse I'm partners with him named Barnstorming. So according to Steve, that he didn't own that gray horse, I guess. So
Oh, okay. He said I beat him at the wire, so he might have been talking about Maselli because he trained the horse.
okay.
Yeah.
Steve, Barnstorming is back in training for the upcoming turf season. Oh, that's one of the King's horses, right? I heard him.
Yeah, he's a turf
All the
horse.
king's horses and all the king's men.
Jeffrey, he will hit the board in the third race. Is that you? You're in the third race tomorrow?
Second, Thursday.
He will hit the board in the third race.
In other words, you're going to be so far back that you're going to finish in the third race.
Yeah, okay.
Is that what that meant?
My first husband was driving.
In the third.
Every time they would put the check on him, he would go nuts and rear up. He had his wolf teeth impacted. Okay, so Sundance says her first husband was driving a horse. Every time they would check him up, he would go nuts and rear up. He had his wolf teeth impacted. Well, Jesus Christ, a dentist would know that because you could feel it with your thumb. Probably 90% of wolf teeth are underneath the gum. You can't see them anyway. You got to feel for them. Dentist should have known that. Anyway, Larry, the horse you were helping train Assad has done nothing but come second or win since you stopped training and moved up to 10 claiming. What are your thoughts? I can't tell you what my thoughts were, Michael, but you are 1,000% correct. But I will say this, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I have to defend the statement that you made. When Peter, the owner of the horse, came to me and asked me to help him to get back involved, I agreed. At that point, I was out of business for about 20 years, but I was tired of doing nothing, and I agreed. He wanted to race at he had a horse at Belmont, but he didn't want to go there. He wanted to go south where there was he had the ability to go to maybe 5 or 6 different racetracks. So we found a training center. It was a real nice training center, and he rented 5 or 6 stalls, and then we were going to claim horses. Now, what he wanted to do was start off just with a cheap horse because he wanted me to teach him about lameness and about everything. And we would start off with one cheap horse. I would show him how to do whatever had to be done and how to condition a horse. So we claimed, we went to the track the first time. It was the first time I'd been to a racetrack in maybe 15, 20 years. And I bought the sheets because if you just buy the program, you just see 7 or 8, 9 lines. And I wanted to claim, and what I told them was I wanted to claim an old classy horse, a horse that was maybe 7, 8, 9 years old, that had a lot of back class, and that we would get this horse. We were on a farm. We had the ability to turn him out in paddocks. We had the ability to swim him. We had the ability to do anything we wanted to do to get this horse, to try to get him back to what he was when he was younger. And knowing that these horses were racing for 5, 6, 7 years straight without a break or a rest. So I looked at the Ragusan sheets and we picked out this horse, Assad. So we picked him up, and he finished. He didn't race well, and he hadn't been racing well. And the only time he raced well was years back when this one particular trainer had him. So we got the horse, and the first thing I did was I told Eddie, I says, look, he has bad feet, he has this, he has that, and we corrected a lot of the stuff in his feet. He had an old, I think it was an old, he had one or two other problems that we fixed and we solved. It was nothing really bad. He was loaded with ulcers, and I kept him on the gastro guard for 30 days. And wormed him, did everything, and I took his blood, and I knew as soon as I took his blood 2 weeks in a row, and his blood come back. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but normal blood for any racehorse is probably around 10, 11 million, and his blood was down to 7. Now, that was alarming to me. So when I took the blood and it was down to 7, every day he would never hit the racetrack. I'd bring him right out to a big field that we had, and he would run, and I took film of it. He would run for 20 minutes, running, bucking, kicking, and everything else, and he never wanted to come in. And there was sometimes I left him out there overnight, and he was happy. When I first got him, he wouldn't eat. He wouldn't do anything. And then he started eating, and we were feeding him 3 times a day. And he loved the paddock. He never wanted to come in. And when we did bring him in, he would start screaming. He wanted to go back out there. So I was very happy with that. What disturbed me was that we were trying to build up his blood, and it would never, through 3-4 blood tests, it would never go higher than 7 million. Now, the reason that bothered me was because I knew, and all of this started coming to me as this was happening. When I was with the thoroughbreds and the standardbreds, like I told you many times in this podcast, I go around with the veterinarians, and I realized, and I lived through the horrors of Epigen and what it did to the horses and how they crashed. And when they did crash, some of them did die. And once you're on Epigen, you had to stay on it. There was no way. Once you come off it, your blood level would drop down to nothing, and they would just be it was just a horrible situation. And the only way you can get it back up again is with Epigen. And you had to be careful with it and get their blood checked all the time. Okay. Now, so I knew all of this. And I knew that through that, because there were times when me and Dr. DeLauro tried to, when a customer of his would claim a horse that was on Epigen, and this particular trainer wouldn't use Epigen, we tried everything from blood transfusions to everything we could possibly try, to massive doses of iron and everything else to try to get their blood past 7 million. We could never do it. And these horses would just waste away to nothing, and a 20,000 claimer became a 2,000 claimer. So I was aware of that. The big mistake I made was that I didn't do my homework prior to jumping into this thing and going to a racetrack that's basically a graveyard for these kind of horses. I started to realize all of that after we got the horse. And no matter what I did to treat this horse, his blood level would never go up. So I told there was nothing more that we could do. He was sound. He was racehorse. He was sound. His feet. We even put. In fact, McKinley came and helped me put 4 glue-on shoes on him. His feet. He was 100% sound. Everything was ice cold. He was happy and everything. And the first race back, he raced right out of the field after 20-something days. Raced right out. And the girl basically was, don't hurt him, and she just took him around the racetrack. The next race, I thought that he would be okay. What really disturbed me was the 7 million blood count. But I remembered this, and this is what kept me going another month. I remembered that Alan Sewall once had a horse, same exact thing. And the vet said to me, he says, listen, is before I take this blood, I want you to kick him in the belly. I kicked him in the belly. They took the blood and they come back 11 million. So, and the reason for that was that the horse was so docile and everything else that his blood count, his heartbeat and everything just dropped down to nothing. But as soon as you excited him, the true blood was. So I figured maybe that was it. I did that with the veterinarian, same thing, 7 million. I confronted Peter, and I said, Peter, I says, I didn't know how to say it because it was really my fault. I should have did. I was the one that known. I was his teacher, and I should have known what I was getting into, and I didn't. So, but I did mention it to him, and I said, listen, I says, I talked to a trainer that was there. I won't mention his name, but he had 50, 60 horses on the grounds. Everybody knew him. He was a very sharp guy, and he knew everybody. And we went to lunch one day, and I told him, and I says, I know I screwed up. I says, what? He says, well, they're all using synthetic epigen, and it's passing. He said, so I went back, and Peter was a nice guy, wealthy guy, and didn't want to have nothing to do with drugs. He was against that. So I knew I couldn't do it. There was nothing I can do. So I told him, I said, listen, I says, it is what it is. It's my fault. I said, and he's, it is what it is. He is what he is. And unless we can give him what he needs, and he asked me, what is that? And I says, these two jockeys that were riding him, I'm not going to mention, I shouldn't even said that, but there's two things that they use. They use a hot shot and epigen. And if a horse has a jockey that lights him up and has epigen, if them two things are missing, or one of them two things are missing, the end result is going to be what happened. So I told him, I says, look, I can't help you. I can't help you. So I gave the horse to a trainer there, and I told him, I said, listen, I says, he is what he is. He's 100%. You just got to get the blood up. And he told me, he says he gave him everything, and I told him everything I tried. And the first race, I think he finished second. The first race he got him from me, he finished second. And then he got worse and worse and worse. And that's it. And I believe, and I don't know this for sure, but I could just see what happened. I believe Peter sold the horse back to the original trainer who had him when he was good. He laid him up for 30 days. He didn't race for 29, 28 days. And he went for fun. He was in with a really bad bunch of 5 claimers, but he went for fun. He went like a good horse. Now you're telling me he put him in for 10 claimers. I don't know. But I know what I know. I know what I heard. I know what I saw. And I'm not trying to make myself right because I was wrong. I didn't do my homework. And when I found out what I found out, I couldn't do what I had to do and give the horse what he needed to become the horse that he was. That's my explanation, and good for the guys that good for the trainer who has him now. And I wish the horse lives a long life and the trainer has a lot of luck. And I don't know for sure what the trainer is doing, but I've been around a long time. And when horses make the reversal of form that this horse made, there's always a reason. And it has nothing to do with soundness because he was 100% sound. Has nothing to do with ulcers. I got rid of them. Got rid of the worms, freshened them up. I was told what it was, and it in my mind, it happens to be true. Now, I don't know for sure. Maybe the trainer just has the key. Maybe, I mean, what are you going to tell me? He was 100% sound. What'd you do? Change the bit? What'd you do? Put a pair of bandages on him? What'd you do to make him go from not wanting to race at all? He didn't even want to leave the gate. Here's a horse that used to jump to the lead. He wouldn't even leave the gate, and all he did was follow. And that's all he wanted to do. Now, all of a sudden, he's winning by open lens. Good for him. But I've been around a long time, and these things don't happen because you change the feed or you give them a special kind of feed or water or what you know. And I did a whole podcast on synthetic drugs, and all they have to do, and they do it. And there's Epigen going around now that they can't detect because they just change. And this might be the wrong word because I'm not a chemist. They change one molecule and the whole structure of the thing, and they don't, and it don't show. So, and then what are you going to do with the 90% of the jockeys on these smaller tracks? Use hot shots. Well, what are you going to do? A little battery. We will, you know. So I don't do that. I couldn't do that. I made a mistake, and I wish the guy who has him now a lot of luck. And I just hope the horse lives a long life and just wins a lot of races. So that's my explanation, Michael. Okay. Rodney, when looking at the post position for harness racing, what angles do you guys look at? I am betting Northfield Park tonight. Wanted some tips. Well, I've been out of the game so long, but we talked about that a little bit. The only thing I would say is I don't have much to say. It's just like I said, I think I mentioned it with Eddie that years ago when I was racing, the distance between the first horse and the last horse was maybe 80 feet. Now it's maybe 200 feet because of the way they sit in the bikes and all of that stuff. And so the whole game kind of changed. And when you have 8 horses on a half-mile track, it makes it very, very difficult for outside horses even to get into the race. So I have no advice for you unless any one of these guys have something to say. Anthony or Joe?
No, just like you said, I mean, the distance is different now, you know, between horses. So it's tougher. They should do something with it. Not, you know, why do they have to lean back like that? Why do they? It's like they're laying down.
No, I asked that question and I got that, and I knew this. I knew this when it happened. And here's the reason. Guarino, who owns the Meadowlands, he made a rule that the drivers can't put the 2 lines in one hand and hit like we used to do. He says both hands always have to be in the handholds. So for them to whip like this, they had to have the handholds all the way back here. Then you'll see them. They just come like this with the whip. And they still have their hands in the handholds, but the handholds are not up where we used to keep them.
Yeah.
Back. So now they can give the horse a full shot with the whip without taking their hands out of the handhold.
These guys are professionals. They could steer a horse. They could do everything they want to do. It has nothing to do with the handholds or the hands. What it has to do with is them laying flat back. They cannot see in front of them. It's common.
Exactly. It's a hazard.
They should have a law that you have to be at least. These guys I look at it a quarter to 3. Okay, they're like this.
Yeah.
They got to be at least 5 to 3, 10 to 3, so they can see above the horse and in front of them. Because that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the big problem. They should make a law that the drivers can't lay flat back.
They should have a seat that you can't lay flat back.
They have to be able to see between the horse's ears at all times.
Yeah.
Not to the left, not to the right. Because by that time the race is over, they're down.
Yeah.
They're down. I mean, all of the great drivers, when I started driving in the 70s, Buddy Gilmore, Insko, Carmine, Chapman, Eddie Lohmeyer, all of these guys, Houghton, they never laid flat back. they went just as fast. I mean, it's you know, it has nothing to do. It's ridiculous. It's like a style or some kind of new fad that guys like Case and Jimmy Morrow started. It's not for the smart driver.
No.
I mean, take a guy like Teddy Wing. He's blind in one eye. Imagine him laying flat back.
Yeah, forget
Okay,
it.
he has no left eye, so all he can see is the right shaft of the bike. That's all he could see. I mean, it's these guys. They should make a law that they have to sit up there where they could see through the horse's ears, you know, or to the right or the left of the head. It's
I
terrible.
remember Billy Meyer. He was also blind in one eye. He used to drive half in and half out all the time. He'd drive you crazy. If you were behind him, he'd come half in and half out and stay there. If you went to go around him, he would come out and you'd be stuck three wide.
Johnny Logerato used to do that all the time too. You remember Johnny Logerato?
Yeah, his father owned junkyards or something.
Yeah. Good people.
Yeah.
All
right, Sunday. Hey, Joe, it's Angel's birthday. Sundance says
Angelique.
it's Angelique's birthday last week. Well, happy
birthday, Angelique.
Happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday, Angelique.
We would have wished you happy birthday, but Larry got rid of us last week.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing Tuesday. Because anyway, all right. Rick Simon was right. Joe, you really looks nice. You really look nice. And Larry, you're right about your shirt. And Eddie and Anthony, you're marvelous. Okay.
Thank you, Sundance.
Okay, Rick, funny thing about Frank Vincent, the older he got, the younger and better he looked to me anyway. Handsome guy at the end. Yeah, he was a good looking guy.
He had the great gangster look, man. You know, he had that look, that image.
Yeah. We used to meet every Sunday right here where I lived. There was a diner. It's closed now. Lyndhurst Diner. The Lyndhurst Diner, and they have a special back room, and we would go in that back room, and he'd have his own waitress. You know, they all played the part. They can become famous. They all played the part, from sitting at the counter to having your own. But he was a good guy. Okay, let's see. Sundance. There are 4 aces. Rick Sunday. Okay, they're talking about Michael. Yes, he did. He is in to go tomorrow at Parks. Oh, I guess he means that horse. He must be in to go tomorrow at Parks. Yes, he did. He is in to go tomorrow at Parks. Wow, I gotta look. If he beat the 4. I think it was a 5 claimer. He beat them handily, even though it was a weak bunch. Because as bad as he was racing, he was still 8-5 in the morning line, or 2-1 in the morning line, and that's finishing back. So he had to be in with a weak field, but he win very, very convincingly. He win in hand, and I'm going to look if he's in to go tomorrow. If he is in the 10 claimer, good for him. Okay, Angelique, here she is, Angel. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. I don't know where you were, but we would have took you to dinner, all 3 of us.
That's right. Would have baked you a cake.
We would have had the 5 of us. We would have went to a nice restaurant, got a table for 6, and but we didn't know.
Why would the 5 of us get a table for 6?
You can bring his dog.
They don't have.
You got to bring the dog. Okay.
Okay. Vibe, what was the best horse Joe ever trained? That's you, Joe.
Yeah, I figured that out. Well, I got to say Alan Joppa. You know, he won the Titan Cup at Meadowlands for me. He was a cheap horse, badly bred. He was in the he won the Titan Cup, finished second in the Nat Ray at the Meadowlands, and everybody sort of laughed at me when we entered him in there. And he was just a great horse. I won 7 races with him myself in the Open. He had the track record for a mile and a 16th for like 7 years with me driving. And he just was one in a lifetime trotter. I was training him down. and I was training a mile with Ross Cohen, and I told Ross, I said, Ross, this is going to be an open trotter. He said, what do you mean? He looked good, but we only went a mile and 28. I said, I'm telling you, this is going to be an open trotter. And sure enough, he made it to the open. He won the Lou Barish as a 3 and 4 year old. Now one is of 4-Power Mutual, a 50,000 lifetime. There was an elimination, and then he made it to the open. And Danny Dubé won the big race at the Meadowlands for me. So he had to be the best horse I had. I had mostly claimers. I mean, I had a powerful barn, but it was 99% claimers. One thing that I'm proud of that probably hasn't been done, I took 3 4 claimers and beat the open with them. That was an accomplishment I thought was something that would be hard to do. And I remember their names. There was a 4 claimer I bought of Arnie Marks named Major Damage. I bought him for $4,000, and Lou Collette said to me, you crazy buying that horse? Anyway, he went right up to the 3 and 4 year old open and won. And then I claimed the horse for $4,000. Lori Land Lady, who was a full sister to Lori Land Butler, who Austin Hope trained, that was an open horse. And
That was Larry Kadish's horse.
Right. And she went to the Philly and Mare Open and won. And the other one was a horse called Bradish Love. I claimed her for $4,000, and she beat the opens too. So, it's hard to say, classified wise, Alan Joppa, but there's a few sentimental horses that,
Just your favorite.
The horse that I kept till he was 33 years old, he broke down at Monticello, a horse named GT's Boy, and he broke down in the race. He won the race, and I walked him from the winner's circle back to the paddock, and he couldn't walk. He pulled himself up after the race. I walked him back, and I told him, I was talking to the horse, I says, that's your last race, buddy. I'm going to take care of you for the rest of your life. And he was 8 years old at the time, and he lived till 33.
Wow.
So
good job.
Yeah, and it was those kind of things, the things that I never had the opportunity to have really good horses unless, I never had the big money owners, put it that way. But I did very well with what I had. So there's a lot of horses that I really were fortunate to have.
Well, Angel says she lives in Chicago, so that couldn't happen. We couldn't take her to dinner, but she says it sounds lovely. Here's another one from Rodney. Larry, what's the update on your movie and show? Really looking forward to seeing both. I don't have an update yet. I'm waiting for a phone call, Rodney, but I'll let you know as soon as something happens. All right, we're gonna go now, but before we go, Vibe says, thanks, Joe. Nice stories. Yeah.
I got a lot more stories too.
Anthony,
What?
we talked very briefly about when Guarino at the Meadowlands made some 5-8 mile races, and you tell everybody what you told me, that in the beginning you didn't agree, and then but
in the beginning I didn't agree with the 5/8 mile race because I don't know. I just thought they would come out like gangbusters, get all used up, and just not good for the horse. But then I remember that, Joe DeFrank was race secretary. He put a 1.5-mile trot together. And I was happier than a pig in shit because I put my trotter in and he won. And then Frank put in a 1.125 trot race. And he asked me, he says, what about that other trotter? You have Fire and Smoke. You think you can put him in there? I says, yeah, sure. I says, you wrote this one up and I did good with it. So he did the 1.125 and I put Fire and Smoke in there and he won. In fact, Charlie Jamaica drove both of them. I got the races on a hard drive. So that got me to thinking that, any length race could benefit, different horses. So I guess it is fair that, you just got to put the horses in where you think they would be good.
Here's one of the truest things ever said. Steve Bastille. Peter never seems to tell stories like yours, Joe, when it comes to racing. That was a great story you told. A very good, nice story. And he's right. Peter never talks about guys like you that did what you did. A horse comes back after a race lame, and that was nice. And you just, as you walked them back.
It was February. I'll never forget. It was, I first of all, I bet him. And he had the 8-hole. And around the last turn, I had like, at the 3/4 pole, I had like 12 lengths, 15 lengths on the field. And I bet him in exactas with a couple horses for second. And I remember I hit the exacta, but Betsy Phillips finished second. And, but around the last turn, he got locked on a line and he got rough gated, and I had to hold him together all the way down the stretch. Whoa, 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 all the way down the lane. And we got to the wire. Maybe he won by a length, but he would have won by 20 if he was sound. And he just made it to the wire, and like he knew where the wire was. He pulled himself up off to the race, which I was going to do anyway, but he actually did it himself. I got off the bike, I hooked the lines, and I grabbed the lines, I grabbed them by the, and walked them all the way back to the paddock. And it's windy and it's freezing, and it took me like 10 minutes to get to the paddock. That's how lame he was. And I said, man, I'm going to take care of you the rest of your life. Who ever expected it to be till 33 years old? So, and that's a true story, and I could have 10 people confirm it right now.
Yeah.
So a lot of good things we did too.
Yeah.
People don't realize there's a lot of people in this business that did bad things, but there's many that did good things.
Oh, yeah.
And David just wrote in, horseman with a heart. Not many out there. David, you're 1,000% right. You're 1,000% right. Joe, just so you know, these three guys that are on the screen now, not so much me, but these three other guys, they're good guys. They're really,
really good guy, man.
Really good guys.
Not him.
They're really good guys. I have there's parts of me during my life but when
Larry, we all made mistakes. We all did bad things.
You know what? I have something next week that I have to read that I wrote quite a long time ago, and it pertains to you, Larry. So
to me?
Yeah. I had written it, and it was more when you were talking about the race fixing and everything. So, but next week I'll read it. I'll read it next week.
All right. I got a few more, so let's get these real quick and then we'll go. Steve, I see people treat horses like their own children whenever I visit the barn. Yeah, the grooms, 99 9/10 of the grooms. I shouldn't say that. Probably all the grooms. They do what they do because of the love for the horses. And you're right. It's if a horse does get abused, it's usually the trainer that's at fault, and the ones that and by abused I mean probably with drugs and everything else. But that's hopefully that'll come to an end soon. But aside from that, the guys you see here on the screen, they're the ones that should be the role models for everybody. Okay, let's see. Sundance. Good night, gentlemen. Congrats, Eddie. I like that. Trouble luck. And Angela says, I did. Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay.
Good night, girls.
Thanks, girls.
That's it. Eddie, we're gonna go now, and this way you can go to sleep and get up.
I'm gonna call you at 4 o'clock when I leave the house.
Oh no, you're not gonna call me. I'm gonna end the song with
not Liza Minnelli. No more Liza Minnelli.
You don't like her?
I like her, but I can't take too much of her.
Why don't you play That's Life, because it pertains to all of us.
Yeah, it's a good song for you, Larry.
What?
Frank Sinatra, Cycles.
Cycles.
You know that song?
Oh yeah, I know all his songs. I think he did over 1,500 songs.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice song.
Cycles.
The best song I like from Frankie is Summer Wind.
Oh, it's the best.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great songs, but I just always like Cycles for some reason.
My best Sinatra song is Where or When.
Yeah.
That's me. All right, that's it, guys. I'm gonna play.
Cycles.
First, I have to get rid of.
Me.
Angel here. I gotta get rid of Angel. Then there's a lot of buttons I'm pressing here, guys.
Don't press too many buttons.
No, it's
I
got.
don't want to blow up.
No. I'm gonna play this song. I know, Eddie, you're not gonna listen to the song. Anthony might. Joe usually does.
Always.
So
Unless it's Liza Minnelli, then I'm clicking out.
no, I'm playing my song, the one that Alfred.
Okay, it's getting late. It's getting late. I like that song.
It's getting late.
Oh, it's getting late, all right.
That's a true song. That's a good song.
Eddie, I'm gonna get rid of you now. Thanks for coming.
All right. Thank you so much for your help and your input, and I love you. Stay well and be safe. All right.
We'll see you.
Congratulations, Eddie.
Let me know when that horse races again. When you put the full cup, the half cup on the inside.
He might be racing in the stake race. I might take a shot. I don't know. I'll do some stupid thing, but I'll try.
Well,
so we'll see what happens.
If he was straight, if there was no horse on the rail, and see, that's the other problem. When we train standardbreds, we train them from the time we break them ourselves. We train them ourselves. We train them in sets. We follow, we lead, we go around.
Right.
Thoroughbreds don't do that. The thoroughbred trainer could buy 5 horses for a total of $10 million. They send them away to some other farm, other trainer that just breaks yearlings. They get them back 5 months later, and they can't even go a quarter of a mile. But
right,
they're all right to the rail, they train them right there in 1 or 2 paths. That's it. Now they're in a race most of the time. Now they're in a race with other horses, and they have a tendency to keep coming in. And that has to be broken out of them from the time the first time they're on the racetrack. Anyway, we won't get into that. Eddie, I'm going to get rid of you so you can go to bed, because you ain't going to listen to my song anyway. Thanks for coming on, and we'll do it again Tuesday, all right?
All right, buddy. See you next Tuesday. Good night, fellas. Thank you very much.
Keep it up, Ed.
Okay, now we're going to play It's Getting Late.
Now we could talk about Eddie.
He's a good guy. He was he looks a little raggedy now with that beard and everything else, but he was a sharp guy. He was a sharp guy when he lived with me. I thought there was a period of time he worked for me, but he lived with me. I had everybody living with me. And he was a good-looking guy, sharp guy, and he used to hang around with I'd be off on my own, but Ralph Gigani, Bernie, Frankie, Eddie, they would be doing their own things, and I'd come home sometime. There'd be a room full of girls and guys and this and that, and he was a sharp guy, good guy, really really nice guy.
I always liked Eddie.
All right, now here's it. So, folks, thanks for and don't forget, I'm coming back on Thursday, and I have to wait to see if Donald is back from Florida. He'll be on Thursday. If not, Eddie's going to bring on some politician from the White House. I don't know.
Freddie.
Talk about. I mean, not Eddie. Freddie Hudson. So anyway, I'll do what I can to help him.
You're getting your Tonys and your Freddie and Eddie's mixed up tonight.
I'm getting everything. I'm still trying to remember algorithm.
Just remember algorithm.
Right.
Your friend Alfred.
Right.
Yeah.
Algorithm.
Yeah.
He's into music, so you got the rhythm. You got algorithm. That's how you got to remember it.
Do you know that I still have to use? Sometimes I still have to use. I've been going to the same bagel place now for 2 years. And there's times when I leave the bagel place, I sit in my car, I start it up, and I get to the driveway where I go onto the street, and I have to think, and I have to pull over and put my address in navigation. That's how bad I am. And you want me to remember algorithm.
Well, I told you how to remember it. Now you should remember it.
Algorithm.
There you go.
So hit like sign, hit like, subscribe.
Hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell.
All right, that's it, folks. Thank you for coming. Right after this song plays, I'm shutting everything down. Thanks for showing up. I'll see you. God, talk to you during the week.
Okay.
Take care, Larry.
Bye.
Dump those grudges, ditch those judges. They're just weighing you down. Drop the haters, procrastinators, 'cause one man's smile is just another one's frown. When it's time for the end, ain't no warning, my friend. One day you're here, next stop the pearly gates. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Dump collections, self-reflections, they're just covered in dust. Why obsess, worry or stress? Just ask yourself, what's the fuss? When your doctor calls you on a Sunday afternoon, gonna be a blue Monday, you'll be howling at the moon. You know you never can cheat fate. Lighten up, it's getting late. Forget bling and glitter, text and Twitter. Don't need it to make my case. Say it old school, face to face. Dump the users, soul abusers, turn and walk away. Give yourself a kick in the ass, then raise your glass. Let's toast to the past and make the most of today. Keep the faith, rise above, do the things that you love. Find a reason every day to celebrate.
I hear a lot of
So
static.
listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up,
Mine is really
it's
bad.
getting late. Live it well, have a blast. Live it full, life goes fast. You're carrying around too much dead weight. All the simple things are all that matter. Lighten up, it's getting late. Oh, what the hell? IGL.
Okay, folks.
Okay.
I'll see ya.
It's getting late.